Welcome, everybody. I'm Maggie. This is Rakshana. Andrew is hiding in the office, but he's a big helper. He's watching the internet door, letting people in. So we do have some snacks here. The restrooms are all the way to the wall, turn right, all the way to the end. And there's a water fountain there as well. If you guys don't know already, there is free parking at the 5th Street School. It's down at the corner of Clark and 4th Street. It's about a block and a half away.
So it's on 4th, right here?
It's on 4th at the corner of Clark.
Okay.
Okay, so if you need anything, just wave your hands and we'll try to figure out how we can help you. In the meantime, we're going to get going with tonight's session. Tonight's session is all about understanding your market. If you haven't checked in, please do so. You can use the QR code. I guess we didn't put the signs out. We usually have a sign that has the QR code too, so that if you, Andrew, I'm talking to you, if you're coming in late, we can have that out front and you can scan that on your way in. Here is our remaining schedule. Tonight is the end of week 2, and we only have 5 or 6 weeks that we're working on. So we're almost halfway. So tonight we're going to learn about markets and then have the mentoring session that'll go from 7 to 8. Legal strategy will be next Monday, and then pitch decks will be next Wednesday with me again. And the topic that we're covering tonight is all about what you should include on your market slide in your pitch deck. Then we'll have a guest speaker for pricing strategy. We have Mark Stiving, who comes down from Reno. He's written several books and has a PhD in pricing. So he is a heavyweight. Sales and financials, I'm not sure who's teaching that one. That's 2 Wednesdays from now. And then we're going to start practicing our pitches. This is a good time for you to come in and share your pitch with other people, and we'll give you feedback. And then the pitch practice that's on December 4th is optional. You don't have to come to that, but it's another time to be able to practice before we do our demo day on Friday and Saturday. And it sounds scary, but it's actually a lot of fun. So understanding your market is TAM, SAM, and SOM. These are abbreviations that you'll hear on Shark Tank occasionally, and we're going to break them down. What is it? TAM is the total addressable market. So that is the entire market. You guys okay? Oh, and he's going to help?
I apologize.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Hi. So it's so worth it to come in person, but the first time you do kind of have to figure out where you're going. Okay, so the total addressable market, this is the industry that you're in. If you have no idea, you can take a look at the S&P 500. They have all of the companies, those 500 companies, broken into different segments. And so that is a good place to start. If you know a competitor to what you're doing, then you can find out what segment of the S&P they're in, and that will help you. But I have the greatest resource at the end of this. You'll be able to take a picture of the screen. And he is a research and patent IP librarian at UNLV. And so if you were on our roster about 2 weeks ago, you probably got an email asking you to fill out a survey for him. So they are charged with helping the general public because UNLV and UNR are both land-grant universities. And that means they have a commitment to give back to the people of Nevada. And one of the ways they can do that is by giving you access to their databases and answering questions that you may have. So his name will be at the end. His name's Patrick. He's great. All right, SAM is the serviceable available market. So let's think about a way to segment the total addressable market down to a smaller size. So if you were, we're going to have an example of Uber. So if you were transportation in all of the world, your available market, you could be starting in the United States. So you can do the research to bring it down to just the United States. If that's too big a market for what you're doing, if you're going to have a shop on Main Street, then maybe you start with Nevada and then you come down to Las Vegas. So it's the idea of segmenting your market down. So that's the available market. And then SOM is your obtainable market in a time-bound period. So what are you projecting your revenue to be in 3 years or 5 years? Or if you're a pharmacy or something where it takes a lot of research to get your product to market, maybe 7 years or 10 years. But most commonly, we're going to see 3 to 5 years. And so it's a projection, and it can be challenging to get to that figure. And one of the reasons that we want to include the market is because it helps investors to understand the market that you're entering. It also helps them to understand if you understand your market and where you fit in it. So this is a list of a bunch of different investors, and the red circles represent where they want to see or hear about your market opportunity in the pitch deck. And so for this fella, Kamal, it's super important. He wants to hear about it right away. A lot of times people want to hear about the problem and your solution, and then they want to hear about the market. So you can see that it's near the top for a lot of them. And Guy, he kind of has his near the bottom. Guy is a very famous early member of Apple Computer back in the 70s. And then he's gone on to be an investor. So it is an important topic, and I haven't talked about pitch decks yet, but when you're presenting your company in a pitch deck, every slide has the opportunity to have you gain credibility or lose credibility. And the market slide is one where you can gain a lot of credibility because it shows that you understand your market. And when you explain how you've gotten to your SOM, then they will understand that you've gone and done the work to figure out how you're going to grow and where you fit in the market. So market is often a slide that gets botched, that people pay very little attention to. They'll do the research to find out what the total addressable market is. They may even do the research to figure out what the service available market is. But when it comes to their obtainable market, they take the easy way out and they say it's 1% or 2%, and they're just picking a number out of a hat instead of actually doing the hard work of figuring out what you think you can make in a few years. So how do we calculate it? There are lots of resources. I've talked about doing research, and Google is so robust that it's really the best place to start. The trick is framing your question properly, just like it is with AI. I don't know if you guys have had the opportunity to play with AI, but it's all about prompts. And the prompts are the way that you ask the question and the details that you include in your question or prompt means you're going to get better information back. So when you ask Google about your market, you want to be specific as you can be. But when we're doing total addressable market, we don't want to be too specific. When we start getting down into the available market, the SAM, that's when we get more specific. There are other resources like the World Factbook and the World Bank and the UN. They all have this sort of research available. But I'm telling you, Google, has access to all of that stuff. So just ask Google. For bottom up, I've seen a lot of decks where people take their price of what they're charging and they try to build their market slide from the bottom all the way up, saying, okay, in the world, there are 5 billion people who use cell phones. And so they're going to take 5 billion times whatever they're charging and try to say that that's how big the total addressable market is. That's not what we want to see. We want to know what the current spend is. What was it in 2023, the last time that statistics were available? What was the actual spend in your category. And the same thing for the next level down, the SAM. What was the actual spend in the first market that you're attacking in the United States? And then we go to bottom up with your SOM. That's where you're going to make your projection. A lot of companies, I'll get to you in a second, a lot of companies that are going to buy a new product line will hire Gartner or these other research companies to provide all this information to them. That costs $25,000 at a minimum. That is not something that a startup can afford to do. Your question.
Can you filter through ICS codes?
Can you filter through NAICS codes the gross revenue? Do you know how many NAICS codes there are? There are so many.
Like there's one, we have one related to what we do.
Like the major one?
Well, I use phone.
Okay. You may be able to do that. Certainly Patrick over at UNLV would be able to help you with that. He's the librarian and his card will be up here at the end.
SBDC, Patrick.
Okay, great. So we're going to go through a couple of examples, and these are these companies that you absolutely heard of, but way back when they were first presenting to investors. Remember, these were brand new concepts like Airbnb and Uber. They hadn't been heard of before. And so when they presented to investors, they had to talk about their market in such a way that they could envision how the world would change with their service. So Airbnb in 2007, so this was the first time that they pitched to investors, they categorized their total addressable market as transportation. So all of transportation back then was worth 5.7 trillion worldwide. Now that includes ocean freight, rail freight in each country, all the different sorts of freight. And yeah?
Airbnb or Uber?
Where am I?
You're.
Oh, are these backwards? This is Uber.
Yeah.
I wonder why it says Airbnb on the top.
Because someone messed it up.
Somebody messed it up. Maybe it was me, maybe not. I don't know. So let's assume we're talking about Uber now because we're in the transportation industry. Okay, so Uber started in San Francisco. And they started off as a service because it was impossible to find a taxi during rush hour. And so they got a bunch of friends together and they were paying a subscription fee to be able to call these cars whenever they needed them. But when they decided to try to expand, that's when they talked to investors. And so they made this TAM SAM SOM, TAM being all of transportation. And then their available market is taxi and limousines. So they went from all of the transportation that doesn't apply, and they went into taxi and limo, which is closer to what they're doing, right? That's right in their market space. And then they gave a best, a worst, and a realistic view of what they might be able to do. So in the best case, they would be a market leader and earn $1 billion yearly revenue in, I don't know how many years. Realistically, they thought they could get 5% of the taxi and limo service in the top 5 cities across the country. So they had done enough research to figure out which those 5 cities were, and they knew what the current spend was in those cities. And then their worst case would be that they would remain just a 10-car, 100-client service in San Francisco. SFO, I think is what it said. All right, so we all know Uber. We know that Lyft came along and is a competitor. There are competitors in other countries with different names. Lyft and Uber are in some different countries, but in like Brazil, for example, they may be there, but there was a company that was started there that is more popular. So Uber revenue in 2023, this is 37.6 billion. I just looked this up today. So their current valuation is 156.5 billion, quite a bit more than 1 billion in yearly revenue. They had 37.6 revenue in 2023. So they are ubiquitous, they're everywhere. Okay, and now they've been able to expand. So they were just talking about moving people around, but now you know that they've got Uber Eats, and they've got mobility. They've got, in some cities, they've got the scooters and different ways of getting around. And I know in Reno in the wintertime, they have like Uber Ski. And so they are set up to be able to pick you up from the airport and load all your skis and gear onto their car and then take you up to whatever resort you're going to. So, and they also do Uber Freight. So this is the actual Airbnb example. All right, so Airbnb actually did start with air mattresses. There were 3 guys, I think, and they were living in San Francisco, and they were near Moscone Center. And so every time a big trade show would come to town, it was hard to move around. It was hard to find hotel rooms. The prices of the hotel rooms went way up. So they thought they would be able to sell a room with an air mattress in it for the budget traveler. And so that's what they tried. They were actual air mattresses on the floor. So when they were looking at how to describe what they wanted to do, they looked at the number of trips booked worldwide. Okay, so that's total addressable market. And that was 1.9 billion. Now here we're talking about the number of trips. We're not talking about the current spend yet. They figured that they would be budget travelers who were willing to sleep on the floor who really just wanted to get to the trade show. So that was 532 million trips. And they figured that they could get out of that, they could get 10.6 million coming to San Francisco where they were starting out. So that's the number of trips again. We haven't talked about revenue. So they're a marketplace, right? They have to have a rider, they have to have a host, not a rider. They have to have a guest and a host. So they're in between. They're making this match. It's a two-sided marketplace. So they're going to take something from the middle. See how they're in the middle? They're going to take a cut in the middle. And their average fee is going to be $20. Now, the fee that the customer is going to pay is going to be $70 a night. So, and they figured it was 3 nights for the average trade show. And so 20 times 10.6 equals about 200 million. And this is how they explained it to their investors. So they figured that they could get to that revenue in 3 years, in 2011. And I just looked this one up today. So 89.1 billion revenue in 2023, so in last year. So quite a bit more than what they expected, but they also have become ubiquitous and they've made a lot of money, not only for themselves, but for the hosts who are putting up these people and hosts who have taken the initiative and bought like extra apartments or casitas or houses that have those extra spaces so they can make a little bit of money doing this. Now here is a much more down to earth, like they have not, I don't actually think this company is in business anymore, but there were a couple of sports fans in the New York area and they thought that it would be fun. Oh, this is even before 2007, to have a service where they would provide a jersey of your favorite player in whatever your favorite sport was for the season. And they were thinking in terms of baseball, all the top 5 sports in New York City. So they wanted to test their theory. Monday, we talked about customer discovery, right? So they went to Yankee Stadium, obviously in the summertime, and they talked to lots of people to try to verify that people would be willing to pay to have a jersey sent to them that they could wear throughout the season to their sporting events. So they discovered a few things. There were 150 million Americans who watched the 5 major sports in some capacity. And how many can they reach through their channel, which was New York? So they knew that there were 11 million New Yorkers who watched the 5 major sports. So we went from 150 million down to 11 million in New York. That's their first market. And then they made assumptions about who would actually pay for this. So they thought that it would be season ticket holders. Okay, so they went to Yankee Stadium and they discovered that 11.7% of the people that they talked to showed a strong interest in being able to rent a jersey for the season. But they also discovered that women who they did not expect would be just as interested as the men. And also that there would be people who would buy it for one game or two games per season. They were interested in having the jersey, but they couldn't afford a season ticket. But they still, when they were going to the game, they were going to make an event of it and be able to wear their favorite player's jersey. So that would be a one-time rental. So I remade the slide to show it in the stacked Venn diagram. That's what that's called. And it's the easy way of depicting that we're talking about a large market and then a smaller portion of that market, and then where we fit in this ecosystem. So it was 150 million US people down to 11 million New Yorkers as the available market. And then for their obtainable market, based on the 11.7% fraction that they got from talking to people, that is 1.3 million people. So here it is again. TAM, it's explained. SAM is explained. SOM is the New Yorkers, but they still haven't told us about revenue. Like right now, all we know is the number of people. So just like Airbnb knew that they were going to make $20 per trip, we're going to figure out what their market is worth. So of the customers, 1.3 million, they figured that 60% would be one time. So actually fewer people were going to rent it for the whole season, but they were going to charge more for the season versus the one time. Although this person's going to be able to wear it many, many times for all the home games, this person's going to wear it once or twice and pay a little bit more. So when they did the calculation, one times equals 39 million, and the season pass holders would be 130 million. So this is how they got to their obtainable market in several years. So a total of 169 million. And that seems reasonable for a period of 3 to 5 years. Yes, sir.
They renting jerseys at the most for second.
Yes, they were renting them out and they were shipping them to the customers. And if your player got traded in the middle of the season, you could send your jersey back and you would get a new jersey, whichever person you chose to have, if you had a season.
The real like license, they're expensive.
Yes, the expensive stuff. That's the only way it really makes sense. If you were buying a cheap knockoff, everybody could just buy it. Yeah, exactly. All right, and here is a lovely example. This is a company that we invested in, FundNB invested in. This is a soap and fragrance company. This lady is based up in Reno, and their brand is Outlaw Soaps. And so they started with soaps and lotions, and they have this outlaw theme. And so she did her research, and she knew who her customers were. They were Harley owners. They were people who would go to music festivals. For some reason, they're members of the military, and I'm not sure why. Maybe they think of themselves as outlaws because they get to carry guns. And so these groups added up to 8% of Americans. And that represented a $3 billion market. So this is a beautiful depiction of their market slide. And, okay, there's a slide missing here. The slide missing is the narration that she gives as she's talking about this slide. And see how it built in, it was 8% of Americans, and that represented 3 billion. And so she actually explains piece by piece, those Harley, the music festival, what their products are, their soaps and lotions, and then they're planning to go into the home fragrance industry. And so with all those things added up, it does equal 3 billion. So she was a fabulous marketer. Okay, your target customer profile. So she did the research to figure out who her customers were. Now, by the time that she made this slide, she had been selling for a few years. So she really had honed in on who was buying her product. That's how she knew that the military was very interested. And there was not one branch that was more popular than the other branches. They were all interested. The Harley riders, they're a very specific demographic. They're generally people who have a fair amount of money because Harleys are not cheap.
I think that's
And
your door.
what's that?
Probably why. So just the product in his hand, I think that's weird, which makes sense.
Oh, it could be a conditioner.
Like yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's something that, you know, keeps your hairs from sticking out
Yeah.
and going wild. Yes.
Yeah.
Or it could be a fragrance too that a man would wear. So, yes. All right, so trying to define who your customer is, we make a lot of assumptions, we make a lot of guesses when we're first starting out. That's the reason we go out and do customer discovery, because then we have a basis for trying to describe who our customer is, because we've talked to strangers and we're noting down the people who say, yes, I would buy that, and how much they would pay for it. So you're gathering customer persona data while you're out doing customer discovery. Then you can do more research with Patrick and say, okay, well, how many people are there who own Harley Davidsons? What's their average income? And from that, you can start to develop your customer profile. So you may be able to find mirror audiences, other people who have similar traits. Even if they don't own a Harley, they may be boat owners. So you can do a lot of market research with Patrick helping you to find out who else your customers might be. Knowing who your competitors are is very valuable too, because you want to be able to differentiate yourself. You want to say how your product is different. So when you're out doing customer discovery, you will ask them, where do you think I would buy this? Who else would buy it? And that is helping you to start doing customer discovery, your competitor discovery as well. And then we want to differentiate. So we're doing all of that customer discovery questioning so that we can build a product that is better than what is out there currently solving whatever problem or situation we've identified. One of the ways that we can depict competition in a pitch deck is with a rack up, and I realize that I'm kind of blocking.
You can see over there.
Okay, good. So this is grid or matrix, and it's very good for depicting what your competitors have that is different from what you have. Now, of course, we're beating our own drum, right? So we're going to talk about all of our best features and how the competitors don't have them. So we're going to put check marks next to our stuff, and we are either going to be the first column or the last column. For me, I think it's easier because we read from left to right. I think we want to have you up front in the first column. And one of the things that we can do is make the deficiencies either more bold or make the features that our competitors have, make their check mark just a little bit smaller so that our check marks are bigger and more noticeable.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, it's psychology, right? So this is a very easy way to depict your features versus their features. One of the things I would caution against is, see how this one uses dollar signs instead of actual prices? I've seen a lot of decks where they actually do put their price in. And the problem with that, just like I do with Uber and Airbnb, every time before I give the presentation, I have to look up those figures. I have to make sure that if somebody pulls their phone out and they do a search, that they're going to find what I have and not some lower price if we're talking about competitors. Yes?
Do you use Statistica for that?
It's Statista. We do have access to the database called Statista, but so does UNLV and UNR. It's a very popular database.
That's like 1,000 or 1,200 per person.
I actually don't know what it costs. I know it's $12,000 for me, so I don't know what it costs for you. Statista is very good, but I just asked, actually, I went to CNBC and I looked at their valuation for the two companies. For doing competitor research, yeah, you're going to need to be more specific then, because most of your competitors at an early stage, they may not actually be in a lot of databases, because if they're also a small, not public company, they wouldn't necessarily be on CNBC. Yeah, yeah. And here is a nice example of another competitor slide. This is a company that started in UNR up north. They competed in a competition they have up there called the Sontag competition. And it's a bit of a business plan and pitch competition. And it's a $50,000 prize, and they don't have to use it for their startup. So if you just wanted to go through the exercise of creating a pitch deck and a business plan, you could possibly walk away with $50,000 and not put it into a business.
Oh. Just see if you do it good.
Yeah, no, there was a gal who won, oh gosh, it's been a few years now. And she had created this really clever exercise machine for older people who didn't have a lot of agility and movement. And it was something where they would just pull up. So they didn't have to walk. They were just doing this sort of motion. And the resistance would change depending on how hard they pulled it. But she had no intention of actually building that product. So she won the prize. Okay, so it was called Stern back then, and what is it called now? It has a different name. They have changed their name. But one of the ways that they differentiated themselves was by using these marine quality products. So meaning it was thicker fiberglass, they bolted things together in such a way that leaks would not occur. And so this is one of the differentiators that they had. See how the X's are smaller and the check marks are bigger? What I liked about this was they did include pricing for all of these things, and they actually had images of what their competitors were. One of their other differentiating factors was that they were building it on top of a Tacoma truck wheel bed, which is not super long and it was not super wide. And so they were able to go into more remote areas off-road than a lot of these bigger vehicles. So, and then their price point was, well, it's higher now, but back then their price point was lower for most of these things. This is not actually a vehicle. You'd still have to buy the vehicle that could hold that. So these customized versions, they were much less expensive than that. I think they're probably around $250 now, so they've gone up quite a bit, but they're still less expensive than these other. It's called Truck House. Sorry, brain fart. So this is a very nice depiction of a competitive rack up. Moving on. Do you know the current size of your industry? You don't have to. Patrick knows, Google knows. You don't need to know until you're actually trying to do this research. What is the growth potential? So there's something called compound annual growth rate, CAGR, and that is available in most databases too. So anything under 4% growth is not high growth. If you're in a high growth industry, for example, sort of anything to do with AI is probably 20 to 50% growth over the next several years. But it's hard to know. It's the buzzword, right? AI. We're using AI to enhance this. Like, but how? Like, what do you really know about AI? Yeah, so I would be careful with that one. But if you're in an area that's growing, for example, the population is aging. So anything that has to do with things that older people would need, perhaps care facilities, in-home care, those types of things are growing rapidly. What is your product or service mission and value proposition? We talked about value proposition on Monday. We do this to solve this problem by doing that. So being able to describe exactly what your business does, what problem it solves, and how is a value proposition. Here he is, Patrick Griffiths, really nice guy. The better the questions that you ask him, the better data you get back. So I would always start, as I said, I would always start with Google. And if you find that you search like I did, or somebody, okay, a lady today was interested in candles, and she was making candles that were energizing and that were used in spiritual practices. Thank you. Spiritual practices. Okay, so first I looked up what is the candle market in the United States. And so we got that figure. So that's TAM. And then I said, so what's special about your candles? Do you want to just sell them in Nevada or are you planning to sell them online? She said, well, I'm going to sell them online. I said, okay, so you're not really limited to Nevada, so that's not going to work for your SAM. So how are your candles special? And she told me, well, they have these energizing properties and they're used in these spiritual practices. It's like, okay, so let's see if we can do that. Now, we may not have access to that kind of information through Google, but Patrick would be able to get it through a database. So the libraries have a variety of databases and they pay for them. And so instead of you like having to pay for a report, which sometimes happen with Google results, you should be able to ask that same question for Patrick, and then he should be able to get you information back. But remember, you always want to know what the spend is. You don't want to know the number of users. That's not really helpful information. It's anecdotal. You can include it, but we still need to know what is the current spend in the industry that you're going for. Yes, Carlos.
Question. You have been in Patrick has access to PitchBook.
No, PitchBook is super duper expensive. PitchBook is a database of startup companies, and it's tracking their industry and their executives and their funding. So how many different rounds of funding have they had and who has invested in them? If you need something like that, we actually have access to PitchBook. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Average spend, like average spend per camera.
Well, like the total spend. So in,
Proposed expenditures.
yeah, so the candle industry was billions, but trying to find out, okay, people who are using the candles in religious experiences or in spiritual experiences, can it be broken down that way? And that is something that Statista would have done. Statista would have figured out the different segments. Like some are going to be, bug warding, right? They're citronella candles to get rid of bugs, or they're fragrance to make your home smell better. Some of them are like energizing, right? Those ones that are supposed to.
Church might have X dollars back.
Right, that kind of stuff. And so Statista would probably break that down. So the data is probably available. So everybody got his info? Okay.
Wait, let me take a picture.
Okay. All right. Oh, look, we have demo day sign up already. That's Friday, December 5th and Saturday the 6th, or am I wrong? Is it the 6th and the 7th? All right.
We go back to the
We have devices here.
We do have.
We can figure this stuff out.
Is
I
that-
bet I can beat you. No, that's pitch practice. Demo day is not actually listed there, is it?
So
Okay.
Friday and Saturday.
Friday is the 6th and Saturday is the 7th.
Probably need that.
We should, yeah. Okay, Disco, if you haven't logged into Disco yet, that's the QR code for that. The check-in code, if you didn't check in when you came in. And who has questions? Do we have any questions online, Roxana?
Let me find out.
What if you don't have any competition?
People say they don't have any competition, but they do, because if you don't have any competition, then status quo is your competition. People who are not doing anything else. So if you're solving a problem and you don't have any competition, is it a big enough problem to solve? That's what you have to find out. If it is a problem and people are just finding easy workarounds, then the question is, will they pay for your solution? And they may not. Okay, it may just be easy to live with the situation. But if you have a solution that is faster and more fun or whatever, then people may pay for your solution. But there's almost always competition. Even Henry Ford, as he was making the car, he didn't have any other cars to compete with, but there were people using horses, right? They were solving the transportation problem with what they had at hand. So they had bicycles and they had horses. So there probably is competition. You may not have thought about what they're doing to solve the situation.
Can you cue Jocelyn to unmute and ask her question? Jocelyn?
Jocelyn, can you unmute and ask your question?
Yes, hi everyone. I'm trying to sign up for the demo day. I did click on the link. It does show we have Friday, December 6th, and then it shows Saturday, June 15th. Is that supposed to be December 7th?
7, yes, it is.
Okay.
June 15th was our Saturday of the last
Gotcha.
demo days, the last cohort.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So another thing we have to fix. Did we write it down? I should write it down.
Let me flag, we need to fix demo days.
Yeah, we need to add demo day to the schedule.
That's both Saturday and Friday.
Yes.
I did the disco thing, but it says I'm not signed up. I wasn't here for your previous.
Okay, so does it not allow you to sign up?
That's what it's saying with the email address I've got.
I sent it to Clara. Need to add demo data schedule and fix QR or fix dates on it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, Mohammed,
Hi, Mohammed.
you just saying hi to everybody.
Oh, okay.
Everybody, hi, Mohammed.
Hi, Mohammed.
Do you have a question?
Yes. How long should the sales page be?
How long should this sales pitch be? Okay, so for an investor, they are probably going to dictate the length to you. So you should have a little library of different pitch lengths. So when you've got 10 minutes, you can cover all of your topics pretty thoroughly. I know we haven't done pitch decks yet, but that pitch deck will cover the 7 or 8 topics that we need to cover. And our pitch typically is 10 minutes. For a demo day, I believe it's 5 or 6 minutes. So it's a little bit shorter, so that means you can't spend as much time talking about any one topic, because it is enough time to talk about every single topic. But when you're in a party and you're like, what do? You want to be able to tell them in 2 to 3 sentences. So that's not even a whole minute. So you've heard of the elevator pitch, and an elevator pitch typically is 2 minutes because they're thinking New York elevators, not Reno elevators, which like the highest floor is 16. So an elevator pitch is about 2 minutes. But you should have these varying lengths of pitches. And if you're really going for venture capitalists, you should have a couple of different decks. There is going to be a deck that is wordy that you send out because they don't have the benefit of interacting with you and having you present and narrate your deck. So everything has to be on the deck. But if you're doing a live pitch, there should be very few words on the slides. Oh, see, I don't even love most of these. This is a great slide. Okay, there's not very many words on there at all. It has huge impact with very little words. And what's on here is just emphasizing the 2 points that she wants to make. 8% of Americans, $3 billion. Okay, but the background with this gentleman who's using his beard balm is very attractive. And so the background is pretty, but it's not distracting. And so what stands out are the 2 pieces of information that she wants to emphasize. Okay, when we have a TAM SAM SOM slide like this, the star of the show is the stacked Venn diagram with the dollars in it. This actually it didn't have the spend, it had the users. 5.7 trillion, 4.2 billion, 1 billion in 5 years. Okay, that's a very clear slide. This is explanatory. They had the 3 different cases. And then I added this bit just to clarify what happened after that.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When we're doing our pitch, should we have like little, pamphlets to hand to them? Like
In general or on our demo day?
on our demo day, on yours?
Okay, so we had a really fun demo day last time because one of the fellows made cheesecakes. So he brought samples in for everybody. Yeah, so if you have a product, you can bring in a product. If you want to summarize something, then you could do that. I would not make it too complex, just like your slides should be clean and have very few words on them. When you're presenting, you're the star of the show. So it's your mannerisms, it's your voice, it's the way you modulate your voice that is supposed to hold the attention of the audience. And the slides are just to enforce and emphasize. So I wouldn't spend a ton of money on handouts. You know, if you were planning to do trade shows, that was one of the ways that you were marketing and it would give you a leg up to have something created, then sure. But if your business is still in the ideation stage and you haven't actually started making revenue, then I wouldn't spend money on that.
Two questions on. First question, is demo day registration also in this code?
No, it's probably a Google form so that you can pick your time and day.
Online, use the QR code for Tuesday. And then, Mohammed, do you want to unmute yourself to ask the question?
Yeah, hi Maggie, good evening, how are you?
Good, fine, thank you.
Ma'am, based on I missed a little first couple of minutes initially. My question was when you was explaining that the investors wanted to see the problem, after that, the market opportunity. I am working on a pitch deck based on AI Airbnb model. So I have the leading questions. My pitch deck involves first the problem, then the solution, then the market opportunity, then the traction, and then rest of the testimonials and team, and lastly summary. So when you started today, that investor want to look the market opportunity first. Yeah, this slide I missed that. By the time I was coming, it was done, so I didn't interrupt it. So I wanted to ask you, ma'am, what is the good slides or the sequence should be? First the problem, second the the market opportunity, or solution?
Solution. We actually haven't covered pitch decks yet, Mohammed. I think that's
Oh.
a week from tonight.
Okay.
Actually, let's go back one more. Pitch decks is November 13th.
Oh, okay, that
Oh,
was
yeah,
my
that
question.
That is a week from tonight. So we'll cover all the slides in the order. This was just to demonstrate that
Got it.
the market slide is important to many investors.
Got it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
That
thank you.
was it. That
Okay.
was it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
When you contact Patrick, how long does it usually take to work with them? And is it in person or just online?
Oh, he works fine just online. You don't have to go down there. You can. He's a little bit of a hermit, so I think he's probably happy to have a visitor once and again, but you would have to arrange that with him just to make sure he's there.
Like a week or like a day or a couple of weeks?
Oh, to get the information back? It's usually a couple days.
Okay.
Okay.
Nothing online, but Ray, is that your name?
Is it Ray?
Was, I think, Ray Lashea? Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'm here.
She just wanted to see if she could get some support on a fundraiser, so I said, give her like a minute or two just to kind of tell us about it.
What kind of a fundraiser is it?
So I have a nonprofit that does community work here in Las Vegas, but also could be across the country because we do online seminars about information, empowerment, things like that. We've done health segments.
Yeah.
Done, quality of life, like feng shui. So, and then we've done extravagant. This happened. We do backpack giveaway. Go back to school.
So we have a Slack channel, and you are welcome to put all that information in the Slack channel. Because you're cutting out, and I can't tell what you're actually talking about.
Yeah, Reggie, you're breaking up pretty bad. Drop it in the chat, Maria.
Break.
I'll have to do it. Jocelyn has another question. Jocelyn, feel free to unmute yourself.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the example that you gave in regards to the company that was doing the Jersey example. Okay, so for a business like mine, which is still in its idea phase, and my primary target market would be business to business, B2B, what would be the best way to kind of do that market research, since I can't technically go out to like a Super Bowl event, for example? And I have seen other businesses where they do create the questionnaires online. I don't know if you have any other recommendations on how I'd be able to go about doing that.
So market research on business to business sales is actually pretty easy because that stuff is generally reported. So if you can identify what your market is, and you want to segment it further from worldwide to US to Nevada or to like Las Vegas and Los Angeles, you should be able to get that information, Patrick.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, there's another question in the room.
When I do my TAM, for the current spend, when I break it down, because I sell little cat toys and little cat caves, so do I break it down, how many people, like, or how many buy toys and how many buy cat houses, or do I combine them?
I would combine them to start. If you're selling both things, then that's your total market.
Okay.
You'll know within yourself, like you're going to get more revenue from the houses versus the toys. Maybe you have higher volume on the toys, but more profit on the houses. So you'll figure that out over time.
And then would my SAM be how many people have cats, or be the next?
Yeah, so your total market would be spend on pets.
Oh.
You would cut it to cats. And then if you wanted to cut it again, it would be toys, not just, cat food.
No, let me just change. Any more questions in the room?
Questions in the room? Our mentors are mostly here. I haven't seen Ken yet, though.
Ken is right.
Oh, there he
He was
is.
the first one here. He just snuck in.
Sarah was the first one here.
Was she?
I think so. She's been here at least 10 minutes. All right, it's not a contest. Okay.
Okay.
Any more questions?
And no more questions online. It doesn't see, nobody's raising their hands or dropping anything in the chat. So I think we're done for tonight, except for people in the room.
Okay.
Guys, you're missing out online. I told you.
If you're only online, you're not getting the mentoring. All right, so we're going to break up into our teams again. If you weren't here last week, is Andrew near with the lists? I've got lists in my office.
Yeah.
Oh, there they are. Okay, great. So within each list, they're listed alphabetically. So if you don't find your name on the first list, you can find your name in the second list. I have to open this room next door for people. There's a lot of crap in there, but we're going to work it out.